Hey folks, audio producer Matt, aka Stormageddon here. I just wanted to really quickly give you a spoiler warning up at the top for season 1 of The Walking Dead game. Kyle kind of jumps into some of the narrative before giving a spoiler warning, so I just wanted to give you all fair chance up front in case you have not played this game and don't want to be spoiled for it. However, if that's not a problem, or you've already played the game and just want to hear Kyle gush about how much he loves it, then strap on in. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hello friends, my name is Kyle Stephenson, aka Mr. K-Step on Twitter. I am one half of The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where me and my best friend Joe talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation each and every Thursday, as well as one of the co-founders of 61indie.com, which is a website dedicated to indie game developers and why these smaller game experiences deserve your time and uplifting the small voices that deserve to be heard. But today I'm not talking about an indie. I'm not talking about a PlayStation exclusive. I'm going to talk about a game that means the world to me, a game that opened up my eyes as to what a game can be from a story and narrative standpoint. Before this game, I used to just play my sports games. I used to play action adventure games, RPGs and whatnot, but not really not falling in love with these characters and really getting an actual emotion out of me. Physically, I had to wait 45 minutes after I finished this game just to feel okay and to feel better and for the crying to stop. That game is Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. The reason why this game means so much to me is it was at a time where my life was in shambles, really. I lost my job, lost my ability to work, and I was at the most bottom place that you can possibly be in your psyche and feeling just really bad about yourself. And it was also around the same time where my sister had her first child, my oldest niece. And I heard a lot about this game and decided to I think it was late one night and all the episodes were out already, and I just hopped in just to see what this Telltale thing is about, because I've never played a Telltale game before. This is my first one that I ended up diving into. And the moment where Lee, who escapes the cops and because of the apocalypse, and comes across this house and runs into this little girl, Clementine, who facial feature wise looks exactly like my niece, and just instantly feeling that connection as a male father figure to my niece in real life, as Lee is to Clem, who is on her own in this unbelievable nightmare hellscape that is the zombie apocalypse. And as you're going along and trying to become or trying to switch your mindset of I have to survive to not only I have to survive for myself, but I have this little girl that is looking towards me, to me for guidance and help to survive, again, this just hell on earth. It really felt like a metaphor for what I'm going through in real life, where I am trying to I no longer have myself to worry about. I have another human being that needs me in order for them to survive. And that is what this game is all about, is a father-daughter relationship, and a untraditional one at that, because Clem and Lee are not related, or even from the same family, and but they still have that bond together. And then when you go to Herschel Green's farm and you meet Kenny, Katja, and their son, Duck, running into other survivors and seeing how they're handling this whole situation and really diving into the characters. I think this is what Walking Dead as a whole does really well. I'm not super into the TV show or the comics, really just these games. But what it does so well is showing you just it's a character driven thing inside of a zombie movie or form of media. So like really diving into these characters and learning about them and their struggles and how they're adjusting and eventually down the road in a couple further episodes where Duck gets bitten by a walker, and also running into a family that is cannibals and eating people. But I think the main one there is Duck getting bit and then seeing the loss of a child to this awful thing and having the choice to how to deal with that, right? And then seeing Duck's mom, Katja, end up killing herself because she couldn't handle living further without Duck. That's when it really hit me, and I was extremely sad. I am an emotional human being, and of course that's an easy thing to say when you have something like that. It's easy to say that, oh yeah, that makes me sad, but it really devastated me because of how much I was in love with these characters and how tied I was to them. The way that Telltale does choices, right, it is another great way to have you immersed and have agency over your characters, I guess. I'm trying to use a lot of $5 words. Where you feel like you are those characters making that choice and your choices matter. This is my first Telltale game. It showed me that my choices mattered. Something that I didn't really experience in a game before or really felt that impact. Yeah, you can make a choice of what job you can have in an RPG, right? What class you can pick in a multiplayer game. But that is just like small potatoes compared to this, where your choices actually affect the story and affect how your relationships are with each other. It really blew my mind back then, and it still blows my mind now, and why I love Telltale as a whole. And it sucks for what happened to them, and I'm glad that some of their games are coming back, like The Wolf Among Us 2. But like this game completely changed what I wanted out of a game. I didn't want to just sit there and go for a high score anymore or make the Hall of Fame in a sports game. I still enjoy those things, but my main thing now going forward playing games is that narrative, emotional experience where I can tie myself to these characters. I mean, having fun is, of course, at the top of the list, but that would be 1A is the emotional attachment that you get from a narrative-based game like this one. And then eventually, I think the big thing that the scene that just stays in my mind every time I think of this game is Lee eventually gets bit by a walker, and you get to the end where they're overcome. The group you're running with is being overcome. Kenny looks like he's dead, which you find out in later games that he's not. But you go to this office, this store, I forget what it is, where you actually have to trust Clementine to go off and find Omid and Krista, who are two of your buddies. But you're looking paler. Your lead looks like he's on his way out, and you have to decide whether or not, as Clem, as this little girl, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. Whew. You have, as this little girl who's on her own now, she can either choose to leave Lee and let him turn, or you waste a valuable resource in a bullet and kill Lee to end his suffering, and so he doesn't have to turn into one of those monsters. And that choice broke me. Just thinking about it now, me retelling it in a really poor way, I feel like it it hurts a lot. And what hurts the most is now this girl is on her own. Her group is gone, and she has to fend for herself as like a. I'm forgetting how old she is supposed to be in the game, but as a 10, 11 year old, 12 maybe, like she has to now survive on her own. And just thinking of her by herself, zombies all over the place, and like the post-credit scene of her just being in this wide open field, seemingly have gotten away and hoping for some safety, but then you see this little shadowy humanoid figure up on a hill and turn and look at Clem, and you don't know whether or not that's a walker or another human being. It just it broke me. It broke me so much, and that goes to this game's narrative and how great the writers did at making you feel for these characters. As far as like gameplay wise, like the engine probably doesn't run all that great. I'll give you that. This is an early Telltale game. Their engine did not run well, and there were some hitches when I played. It really is like you have some quick time events. It really is just decision based story game where you're just picking how to respond. So it's not the most involved physically. Like you don't have to be good with 2 joysticks and shoulder buttons and whatever. You just have to really be in it and paying attention and role play and choose whatever you think is the best option for these characters that you've grown to love. And this is a feeling and a emotional response that I am constantly searching for in games since then and probably forever, is getting attached to a character as much as I did the relationship, and attached to a relationship as much as I did with Lee and Clem. And that's why it's taking me so long to finish the series, because you go on, you have season 2, you have 400 days, which is a smaller thing with other survivors, season 3, and then you have the final season. It's a lot, and I don't know if I want to finish and close that book, because I don't want to see what happens to Clem. In some ways I do, but in other ways I don't want to say goodbye. So that's why I love Walking Dead Season 1 so much, is what it did for me as a person who plays video games and looking forward to strong stories in games. I think that is what's most important. That's why I play games now, is for single player story-based experiences, and the feelings I have thinking about this game will stay with me forever. And I'm so happy, and I'm so happy I dove in, and I'm so grateful that Telltale existed during my lifetime and was able to play these games, because I'm a new person because of them. So yeah, that's Walking Dead Season 1. It's wonderfully voice acted as well. I should shout out to Dave Fennoy, shout out to Melissa Hutchinson for Lee and Clem's voice respectively. Kenny is well voiced by Gavin Hammond. Fantastic performances. And that's something else before we say goodbye. That's something else that this game does so extremely well, is their performances sell those relationships and sell the dire straits that they're in, and sell the heartbreak and the happiness and the anger. What they did is so damn good in this. So yeah, please play Walking Dead Season 1. There is a full collection of every Walking Dead Telltale game in one thing. Please go get it. Please experience the story. It's amazing. And your choices carry over from season to season as well, which is fantastic. So yeah, that's Walking Dead Season 1, why that means so much to me. I love you very much. Thank you for listening, and thank you for letting me share some of my passion with you as I'm over here getting emotional. Yeah, so go play it. I love you very much. Stay safe, and happy gaming.
Can you believe we've been friends for 7 years?
And it all started because I compared you to Alana the Lioness.
Tamara Pierce really set the tone of our friendship.
A love of magic,
Briar Moss,
fantasy,
Briar Moss,
powerful women, and of course,
Briar Moss. I'm Anna.
And I'm MJ.
And we invite you to join our Circle of Friendship,
where we do a chapter-by-chapter deep dive into the Circle of Magic series by Tamara Pierce.
We answer important questions like, how does Moonstream let certain dedicates take care of children?
Can you imagine anyone else but Mandy Patinkin playing Nico?
Knives, Briar?
And
knives?
Join us every other Monday at cofpodcast.libsyn.com or wherever you download podcasts.
But seriously, knives?
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.